Hello and welcome back to Rams Talk Podcast. We're here today after, I wouldn't say the most confidence boosted 2-1 victory against Bristol Rovers, but it's put Derby in a really, really good position. 6 points off the top two, which is ridiculous, up to sixth in a really good position at the moment. So joining me today to talk about the Bristol Rovers game is first off Adam Titley. How are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. Into the top six, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty well after that one, to be fair.
And yet we watched all of those goals from Derby and Bristol Rovers, but the best cross of the weekend came from yourself. Talk us through that.
Oh, well, it had to be done. The link-up play was there. Fancied myself as a Craig Forsyth-esque cross in swinger. Oh, what a cross. Still dream about it now. We'll never reproduce it.
For a bit of context, we played in a charity match for Derby Twitter FC on Friday night, and Adam put a beautiful cross right on my head inside the 6-yard box, couldn't miss. And he's not mentioned it actually, as you may have guessed. So he's not mentioned it to anyone. Callum, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you, mate. Much better after a really convincing 2-1 win. I will say I got my predictions right both in the preview pod and on last week's show, so I'll take that. That's what I'm really positive about this week.
Yeah, the 1 week Adam doesn't go for 2-1. It's a 2-1.
People kept commenting that on my own video, and I was there like, maybe if I stop predicting it, we'll win 2-1.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Singh, how are you, mate?
Good evening, chaps. Yeah, all good. It's nice to be in the top six. I think the 2-1 Derby prediction is like my long may we continue catchphrase for Adam now, isn't it? So we're all getting our own catchphrases now.
I've noticed more and more people are saying it now, Vic. Your influence is unmatched. And Adam, I think, is the man who probably says it the most of anyone. But right, let's get into the episode, and we can't start the episode without talking about the man who got man of the match, Nathaniel Mendez-Lang. Now, I don't think he actually probably had the best game of his life. I thought he looked a little bit isolated on the left wing in the first half. We changed the system in the second half. He played as a sort of a right-sided forward, didn't he? And set up a goal. Thank you to Jack Hunt for putting it in the top corner, and scored the second goal. I mean, Adam, he's got 5 in his last 6. He looks like a player who's really, really confident, really, really in form. He was just quality, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's got that ability to really grab the game by the scruff of the neck and get something for us. And I think, we went on about this like a broken record so long about Mendez-Lang needs a rest after these internationals, and then obviously he's gotten the rest and he's come back firing in form, which we wanted from him. And yesterday, he turned on the style when going forward, and he had that injection of energy that we needed going forward, and it resulted in the goals late on when the Rovers defence were tiring. So yeah, like you say, the stats back it up. He's in fine form at the moment, and as long as he carries on with it, then hopefully we can keep pushing up the table.
Yeah, you've got to hope so. And Callum, I mean, you look at Mendez-Lang as a player, and people have always talked about, he's so inconsistent. He'll have one good game, one bad game, but he's pretty much had 6, 7, 8 consecutive games where he's been really on it. And I think at the minute, I mean, I don't know what you think, but in my opinion, he's the only reason we're in the position that we're in.
Yeah, he's at least one of the main reasons. I don't know about the only one, but he's definitely one of the main reasons. He's been since he's had that little bit of a rest period, which we all on this pods were crying out for, that he just needed, even if it was just 1 week, one game that he wasn't part of, and him not going to Guatemala during the international break again just gives him a little bit of a rest. It just seems like it's done him the world of good, which means that he can put everything into our games, which I think that's probably been the thing that's let him down, is just because of him being so tired physically that he hasn't been able to put in everything into our games. You can see when he drops in and out of the game, he kind of walks around aimlessly, and everyone kind of thinks, oh, he's been a bit useless, but it's just because he's knackered. So I think if we can keep him, just nurture him through the rest of this winter period, I think we'll keep getting the best out of him.
Yeah, definitely. No international breaks for quite some time now. Thank God Thank God we're free of them.
Yeah.
Although next week's going to feel like one because we lost to Crew, so we've got no game next Saturday, which is really depressing. But probably better for my social life. I might actually be able to see some of my friends, which is nice. Don't get that very often when you play week after week after week. Talking Gas podcast, say evening, lads. Jamie Page, who some of you may know is sometimes on this pod. He doesn't really turn up much anymore. He's too busy being old. And he put, take that Martin shirt down. Absolutely not. And we got a comment from Talking Figures. What does that say? Tortured Pickles. That is some name, Pickles. That is. And he says, does it not worry you that we're so reliant on Mendez-Lang? And Vic, I want to take that one to you because I kind of agree. I think when Adam mentioned a minute ago that, you know, Mendez-Lang grabs the game by the scruff of the neck, I don't think we have many players that do that. I think Mendez-Lang's pretty much the one that will do that, and we've got supporting players around him. Does it concern you a little bit that we're relying on him so much to create magic?
Yeah, definitely. I think we do need more options in terms of star quality, especially in the attacking thirds. I think if we're too heavily reliant on Mendez-Lang, if he now dips out of form, we could end up obviously losing out on the top six and falling down the table, which is, I think that was part of the problem with Mendez-Lang, was that we were too reliant and putting too much pressure on the lad. I think since the Shrewsbury defeat and obviously that interaction with the fan, I think it's sort of put a rocket up his backside, and he's really sort of proved all his data is wrong, if I'm honest. It does worry me that we are overly reliant. However, I think given time, I think we might see some more gems unearthed. We got Kane Wilson, who's been in pretty good form, who can also fill in. Barkhuizen in and out at the minute, but obviously if he picks up, then the onus isn't too much on Mendez-Lang. And then obviously if the midfield can contribute, and then if we can get Collins and Cole scoring, hopefully it's not too much on him. But he at the moment, he looks like our only attacking threat. And when he's on song, Derby are on song. So hopefully we can start sharing out the responsibility, but it'd be crucial if we lost him to injury or lack or fatigue or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with Kane Wilson, he just hasn't had chance yet, has he? He's not had chance to sort of deliver that final product. I know he had that open goal against Blackpool, which I'm sure still haunts him to this day. But yeah, I think Kane Wilson's another one who could definitely deliver, and we just need more players to step up, don't we? Barkhuizen an interesting one. Before we get onto Tom Barkhuizen, I just want to say, Jamie, who's sometimes on the pod, had a very funny moment on Friday. Went out for a few drinks, ended up going around Derby, went standing order, went to Revs. And then Jamie disappears about 2:00 in the morning. Him and his dad disappear because they've gone to Pop World, which is something that I didn't expect to happen. So there's Jamie and his dad, who's about 6. He's a legend, to be fair, but in Pop World in Derby. So if you want to judge him for that, please do. And let us know on Twitter how much you think he's a bit of a clown, because we've all said it. So, Adam, to move on to Tom Barkhuizen now, he's one of the players I've got written down because I think he's a bit of a strange one. I was talking to my brother about this yesterday, and Barkhuizen's one of those players. I don't think he'll ever be a standout in any team he's in. I think he's a player that will deliver. I think he'll create things, but I don't think he'll be that Mendez-Lang type player. And I think he needs players around him that he can link up with. I think that's a real big part of his game, you know, quick 1-2s and moving like that. And I think yesterday he really struggled, didn't he? Because he had Ryan Nyambe, who's an unbelievable defender, but is not good going forward at all. His movement, delivery, and running with the ball is not good in any way, although he is an unbelievable defender. And then he had James Collins to his left, who, as we all know, is one of the worst technical footballers to ever grace the planet. So when you've got those two players next to you, it's incredibly difficult for a player like him to actually deliver what he wants to do. Do you think it's hindering him?
I think maybe a little. I think last season it helped a lot more when McGoldrick was up front. You know, we know how good he was, but then I always think back to that purple patch of form. Barkhuizen, I've mentioned it time and time again on this podcast, but he really impressed me with that bit of form. You know, he's a player who worked his way up through the divisions and then had a really good stint in the Championship with Preston for so long. So there's definitely quality in him, and he can score goals, and he did so for Preston. And he had that spell last season where he just seemed to have to be cool, calm and collected in front of goal every time he was in front of it, and he slotted them away. And I just think back to, I think it was Cheltenham away last season when he I think got the winner for us, or the one that was ended up the winner. And it just summed him up, a neat finish in the back of the net at a time when we needed it, and he did that time and time again last season during that purple patch of form. And I'm just desperate for him to refine that, really. I think it is mainly due to the players around him. Like I mentioned, Mendez-Lang is a player who can really add that burst of energy going forward and create things. I think Barkhuizen is more of the player that needs other players to bring him into the game, but he does have that really good finish on him when it needs to happen. And I think at the moment, I mean, we're saying all the players are not in their best form at the moment, and I think Barkhuizen just falls into that category, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's it. But he's not in his best form, but we're winning games. I think that's the most important thing. And Callum, I guess to sort of build on that a little bit. Yesterday, let's be honest, I think most people have said this. We weren't good yesterday, were we? I think the first half was painful to watch. It wasn't good. It was very slow, very laboured. I thought Bristol Rovers actually probably played better football than we did. Quick 1-2s, moving through the thirds, and they just looked like a good side, and we looked lethargic and slow. Why do you think that is? Why do we move the ball so slowly? Is it something Warne's telling them to do? Is it the players that we have?
I don't think it's something Warne's telling them to do, because every single press conference, every single post-match, he's wanting positive, quick play. He hates it. From what he says to the media and to the fans, he hates it. He wants them to be quicker, more positive, more direct forward passes. So I can't imagine it being coming from the coaching team, because every time I look down at the technical area, when an extra pass was taken, a sideways pass, a backwards pass, a laboured pass, the coaching team were getting absolutely infuriated. You could see they were turning around, slamming drinks on the floor. So it obviously isn't coming from the team. I don't know if it's just because they're taking the easy route, especially at home or on a wider pitch. It's just, if I can look sideways rather than try and take on a man or something. There's a lot of players who are, I think, quite wary of giving away the football at home because of the way the fans might just get on them. And it's not wrong for the fans to do that. But then obviously, if you're a player, you don't want to be that person who gives away the ball, which then I think then just turns into this laboured game. I mean, it summed it up when I messaged every single one of you guys, just making sure we're all still awake in the stands. It was that bad in the first half. So, yeah. It's just again, you see the second half display, they can do it. I think it's when teams kind of try a little bit of coming on to us, that's where we tear them apart, and that's where at the pace of our team can really hurt people. It's when the team just decides to go sit there, that's when we struggle.
Yeah, I mean, Vic, on that as well, we talked a lot about the handbrake, didn't we, earlier on in the season? Are we going to let the handbrake off? Especially, I think it was the Cambridge draw. We drew 0-0. I think we created about one chance in 90 minutes. And yeah, everyone was saying, why don't we go forwards? And we did that against Barnsley. We did that against Northampton, and we really went for it. And it felt a little bit yesterday like we'd gone back to what we were doing before. I think, to be honest, I think the magic of Mendez-Lang on those, he took his goal really well on that run to get us ahead. I think that's probably spared our blushes a little bit, because on another day, Mendez-Lang doesn't turn up and produce those moments of magic, and we probably lose that game. What do you think?
I agree. I think, truth be told, if we look at that starting 11, especially going forward, we're actually quite slow, which I think maybe restricts us from actually trying to play the quick balls forward. If you look at like maybe Collins never really is in the position he should be as a striker. Normally he's out wide, or you never see him on the last man of the last defender, the shoulder of the last man, sorry. Again, and then it's normally Mendez-Lang with the ball when we're trying to move forward. So that's our quickest player. He's either got to take his player on, or he's got to try and look for the pass, but no one moves forward enough. And I think we're still bypassing the midfield. I think if we start using the midfield a bit more, maybe we can open up opposition teams, because we're going back to that passive sort of, we're being too, what's the word for it now? We're too easy to read. Yeah, safe, easy to read.
Yeah.
Teams know that we're going to play down the flanks. All they have to do is nullify it. That's why we're playing sideways and backwards passing. we need to try and use our midfield because the creative spark can come from there. We've got Horahan, we've got Bird, Smith when he's on form, albeit he got injured yesterday. That's the issue for me. I think there's just a lack of pace, especially up top. And then if Mendez-Lang is the one trying to create it with the ball, there's no one else running off him to sort of be open. I mean, like you said, we're playing too safe. Especially, I hope you don't want to see that. So hopefully we can switch it up a bit. But we've been saying that all season.
Yeah, we have, and Jamie's just put in the chat defending his appearance at Pop World. I'm not going to read it out. But yeah, no, I agree, Vic. And there was one time yesterday that really stood out to me, and it was James Collins had made a run down the left, as always, and he picked up the ball and he went to cross the ball in, and there was one man in the box, and that man was Max Bird. And no one else was in the box. You had Barkhuizen on the other side. You had Mendez-Lang next to him. You had no other midfielders. We had one person in the box, and that was when we'd sort of, we should be filling the box in those positions. We should have 3 or 4 players gambling. I think, again, to compare us to Bristol Rovers, I mean, they had, 4 or 5 players every single time, and
no
better
movement.
delivery. Well, exactly, Adam. There is no movement at all. It feels weird having this conversation after a win. I think we have to stress we're not being negative here. It's just, it was just weird. We didn't seem to want to commit men forward. But I mean, Adam, when we look at our midfields, Corey Smith, I thought, had an absolute stinker yesterday, compounded with that injury, which looked really nasty actually when it happened. I hope it's not an ACL. It looked like it might be, but I hope it's not. But until Fauna came on, we looked so slow. No one was making runs forward apart from Bird, who I think had picked up a head injury of his own. And it just seemed like we were so slow, so static. It felt like we weren't even trying to push forward and win the game at times, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I noticed it in the first half when players like Cashin or Nelson had the ball at their feet after playing it out from the keeper. There's zero movement in the middle of that park. It's pretty much just man to man stood there waiting for somebody to want the ball or to play the pass. And, I think Horahan's an aging player towards the end of his career. I'm not expecting him to be making these 20-yard runs trying to split open the defence of the opposition. Max Bird is I would say a more defensive-minded player, but he does go forward quite a lot now under Paul. But Corey Smith, like we said, I mean, I think somebody said it in the comments here that the last good game he had was Blackpool away, and then for me, the best game he's had was probably Liverpool away. For us,
right back.
Yeah. And I think Corey Smith is a player that really hasn't managed to string too much form together for us. It just hasn't really. He's put in a lot of probably 6 out of 10 performances for us, nothing really reaching over that. And, games like that yesterday is when you need a player in the middle of the park to show some energy, pick up the ball and take it forward. We missed Liam Thompson immensely. I think the start of the season when we had some of those big wins, a lot of it was due to Liam Thompson's energy in the middle. I said before the season we wouldn't realise how much we missed Jason Knight. I'm not bringing that back up again. No. But I'm just saying his energy in the middle, no matter whether it was used or not, was something that we miss now. We've got players in the middle of the park who I don't think have that energy, and that and that hinders us a lot. Especially yesterday when there was pretty much zero movement, and the only options we had was for Louis Sibley at left back to clip it over the top and hope that somebody could run on the end of it, which I'm not really sure how that works when we've got a striker who isn't known for his pace to then get into the box on the end of it. So, I mean, we spoke about Paul Warren wanting them to play it forward, but nobody's moving on the pitch. And yeah, I just think movement-wise, it was poor yesterday. I think in previous games we have had players who were trying to make runs, trying to do some link-up play. But yesterday, it's just static football, really. Yeah. Players not taking responsibility to pick that ball up and take it forward and try and create something. And at the end of the game, thankfully, Mendez-Lang and Tyrese Fauna produced the bit of magic that we needed at the end when the Rovers' defence were tiring.
Well, that's it. And we've got a comment from Jim Johnson saying he can't wait for Tomo to be fit. And because, I agree. I think his energy has been missed. I mean, you look at our midfield 3, Horahan, his legs have gone, haven't they? I think he's still a quality player on the ball, but he hasn't got the movement. He made a couple of vital blocks yesterday. But again, when it comes to getting into those spaces further forward, he's not going to do that. And he's pretty much playing centre half at the minute. He's reminding me of a little bit at the minute, Ravel Morrison. when he was with us, dropping in between the centre halves, sort of carrying the ball a little bit, but not really producing with it. Maybe that's a ridiculous comparison. He could be right, but I think him playing centre half is what's brought that on. And then you look at Smith. He can't run, can he? And Bird is being sort of asked to be both the creator and the engine. He can't do both jobs at once, and he's never been known for his running, has he? He's not like a Jason Knight. He's not like a Liam Thompson. He's not got that engine in him. He's not one of those kind of players. So when he's being asked to play that role, it shows how little movement we've actually got. But I guess that takes us into injuries, Callum, because we've, obviously Forner had a poor run of form and ended up getting dropped out. Liam Thompson's been missing for most of the season through injury. We've obviously we've had Joe Ward missing. He's just come back. John Jules has been injured. Waghorn's had his injuries. Washington's had his injuries. Elder's had his injuries. We've had a lot of first team players that have been out injured. Do you think there's any potential that Warne has a way he wants us to play, but he just doesn't have the players available at the minute to bring in that strategy, and he's having to use what he's got to try and, sort of scrape over the line until everyone's back?
Yeah, I think as a manager, you've still got to stamp your philosophy. So then when everyone is fit, you do have your team, it's an easy transition for them to come into, because otherwise, if you go from trying to create something for the players that you've got and then want to instill a philosophy halfway through a season, it ain't going to work. So he's doing the right thing by getting them to do what he wants them to do. The trouble is that a lot of the players physically haven't got the attributes to do it. A three-man midfield of Smith, Bird and Horan were dominated by a two for Bristol. And for the entirety of the first half, I thought, as I say, I'm not going to go too on about it, but Smith was making runs from when Cashin and Nelson had the ball up to the back four, and you're kind of looking at it going, no, we need you to come and get the ball off them and work it between the three of you, not try and make a run in behind James Collins, because you ain't getting on the end of a ball. So
the
when
two
you're looking
slowest players on earth,
do you know what I mean?
Running behind.
If we've got Corey Smith making running behind the back four, then we're doing something wrong. So I think injuries have been a major issue. I think that when we have got a full contingent, we'll be in a better shape to try and do the philosophy that he does want to do. But I do think we're missing it. For me, if you're playing a three midfield, you need at least 5 or 6 central midfielders on the books who are all capable of playing within those roles. If in case people are out of form, get injured. At the moment, we've only got 3 or 4, maybe. As I say, when you're playing a 5. Do you know what I mean? If you need more bodies and more depth in certain positions, I think we've got 4 or 5 right backs on the books. We don't. Do you know what I mean? We need more central midfielders and strikers.
Yeah, we need a lot of everything. I mean, that's one of the things Darren Robinson was talking about on Radio Derby after the game, is that all the teams that succeed in the league, they all have deep squads, and I don't think Derby's is quite deep enough. I know, obviously, we didn't have the success in the transfer market that we wanted in the summer, but we really don't have many players. I mean, again, to touch back on our recruitment, our big marquee striker signings, Martin Waghorn, who we signed from a testimonial. So you've just got to hope that from a recruitment perspective, we've got something in place for January, because it's going to be massive, isn't it, Vic? It's going to be huge. We need another centre mid. We'll probably need another centre back. We need another striker. We need a lot of players in a lot of positions, and it's never easy in January, is it?
No, January is always notorious for being so hard to try and bring players in. But like we said before, I think what's killing us is obviously not having a prolific goal scorer up top, or someone that could just offer something different to what we've already got. The problem is, as a whole, we are quite predictable. So even the spine of the team, you're looking at the defense is probably the most solid part of our whole starting 11. You wouldn't even have to touch that. It's where it comes to the midfield and the obviously up front. If we can sign someone with a bit of pace up top that can put the ball in the back of the net, I'm not going to put any names out because everyone's going to be like, oh, it's all this, So I'm not going to put any names out. Johnson, Clark, Harris, whatever. But yeah, we
move on, Vic.
I know Chris Martin's name's going to come up in a minute. So if we're not moving on from JCH, we're not moving on from Chris Martin. But like I said, we need to strengthen. I don't think it'll happen maybe we can look at the academy and see if there's anybody waiting in the wings there, just offer something a bit different. But I guess we just got to make the best of what we've got at the moment, and hopefully we can. For me, we need a plan B as well, because I just think that because we're so predictable, teams are going to work it out again, and then once one player has a dip in form, the whole team will suffer because of that. So let's hope we can come up with a plan B if we don't manage to get a recruitment spot on in January.
Let's hope so. And a forward player in the academy that's actually been really impressive so far is Cruz Allen. And apparently Arsenal, Man City and Liverpool have all put bids in for him ahead of January, which is worrying, to be honest, because he's pretty much, the best, I guess, the best under-18 player that we have currently. So, yeah, let's hope he sticks around. But on to Chris Martin now. I thought it was a vintage Chris Martin performance, right? And we don't want to bang on about old players too much, but he actually had the fewest touches of any outfield player to play more than 60 minutes. So he didn't touch the ball that much. Somehow touched it less than James Collins, which is a miracle in itself. Yet still, and being marshalled by Nelson and Cashin, who I thought had unbelievable games. I thought they were both brilliant. Yet still, he should have had an assist after he laid off a guy in the box, and he scored a goal. I mean, Adam, I've got it on my little notes thing here. He's out of contract in January. Now, we watched that game yesterday, and he did exactly what we've been crying out for a strike. I know there'll be people listening that will go, move on. And that one of them is probably going to be me when I listen back to this. But he did everything that we need at the minute. We need a player that can link up with Barkhuizen and link up with Mendez-Lang, set players up on the edge of the box, score the goals when they drop into the area. He had one half chance all game and he took it and he scored. And if not for Mendez-Lang's brilliance and Fauna's brilliance, would have won them a point. You know where I'm going here.
You see, I love Chris Martin. I love Chris Martin and what he offers. But then I think there's too many factors at play here. Number one, we're crying out some youth in that team, I think, and some energy. And I think Chris Martin's an experienced player. And like you said, it was a vintage Chris Martin performance. But what happens if Chris Martin gets injured after one game? And that's him finished, footballing wise. And also, there's no way we'd coax him out of Bristol or the South, in my opinion. I think he's settled down there, and that is part of the reason why he signed for Bristol Rovers, because he's settled down there. He's not really moved out of Bristol or London since leaving us. So I don't think he'd come to us, and I have to say I don't think he's the answer. As much as it pains me to say, unless Rovers would like Collins in a swap deal, but no, I think, I'd love Chris Martin back at Derby County, but like I say, you've got to move on, don't you? As hard as it is, you've got to move on.
Do you have to move?
Should we get Johnny Russell back?
Yes, you do.
Let's get them all back in. Let's get the amount of abuse you got for saying Tom Ince in pre-season.
I'll say it again.
That was so funny. The guy behind me, he's very outspoken. He says what he thinks, and he was like, Chris Martin, he's so fat. I hate him. And the guy next to him was like, you'd have him back over Collins though. And he's like, yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, would you?
Which was funny. It certainly was funny. Oh God, it's just horrible, isn't it, Cal? It is horrible.
Well, I don't think, as you say, I don't think he's a warm player anyway. So he's not a warm player.
Oh, we're still playing by those rules.
No, I don't know. But the thing is, it's true though, because we've got to think what we'd love. And
is it because he's good?
No, because when he's on song, he's class. But sometimes he does have the performances in him. And Bristol Rovers said the guys from the Gascast said this. He can be just non-existent, especially at his age now. So again, I don't need any more players over the age of 30 coming in and thinking they're the answer. I want to go younger, and anyone under the age of 30 will do. I don't care if they're as long as they've got two legs and can at least have a shot within the vicinity of the goal, then I'll take it.
You've got to think though, Callum. I don't think we've got a single player over 35 or over, and that's a big gap in this derby.
That makes a change for us.
We've always had some OAP cruising about in the squad.
Doesn't mean we need one.
Yeah, we don't want one. No, we don't.
Doesn't mean we need one.
I'm agreeing with Jamie. Take that shirt down because it's getting into your head now, mate.
I've got to ask the questions, haven't I? I've got to ask the questions. Vic, right, let's move on from Chris Martin. So, in the second half, we've talked about this a little bit already, Vic, but we changed from a back four to a back three. Now, I don't think it made any difference whatsoever. In my personal opinion, I don't think it made us any better. It did move Mendez-Laing more to the right, which I guess improved his game a little bit. It made Tom Barkhuizen look like he'd never seen a football before when he got moved into wing back, which we all know he hates. Can you see us slowly gravitating towards the fabled Paul Warne back three again?
It's coming, innit? You know it's coming. It's coming. Look, Callum celebrated already. But now
It's gonna happen. It's happening.
No, you know what? You can see it happening. The only downside to the back three at the minute for me is Sonny Bradley, Adam's boy. It's for me. I can't. Every time he comes on the pitch, I get nervous, and it's horrible to think that as well. Yeah, but like we were saying earlier, with all the injuries and stuff coming back, obviously we've got Callum Elder, Joe Ward. They'll fit into the wing backs. You've got Kane Wilson. I think he'll bring it in because obviously he likes to see out games and stuff. Yesterday, like you said, it made no difference. I didn't think it improved us in any way. If anything, it might have given Forner the opportunity to run forward and actually set up Mendez-Laing for that goal. But other than that, it didn't really change much. You know he's going to go back to it because it's worked for him. Again, if we've got all these players coming back and they sort of maybe fit into that style, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. As long as he doesn't play it away, because I know away it's gonna kill us off. I mean, he'll play it at home, but I know away it's gonna be torture to watch. So it's coming. Callum's celebrating already. I'm not too optimistic about it, but we'll see what happens. No. I don't think he should change too much, to be honest.
I'll only see it happening if he puts Fozzie there. Fozzie left, Cash in right, or Cash in the middle, Nelson on the right, whatever you want to do. But those three, if he does it, those three, I'm happy to see it. If I see any Sonny Bradley anywhere near the white marker of the pitch, then
wow, maybe it won't be Adam getting knocked unconscious if we go to Moor Farm. The Godfather said Nyambi, Cashin, and Nelson was about three. That's not bad, is it? Cashin left centre half, Nyambi on that. I think that is what we played, isn't it? Start of the second half with Sibley and Barkhuizen as the wing backs. So yeah, it's funny that we've got all these great right wing backs, and then we played Tom Barkhuizen there. That poor bloke can't catch a break. But yeah, I think we will go back there. It's funny you brought up Sonny Bradley because Adam's up next, so this is perfect timing. Sonny's best mate.
Can't wait.
I'm starting to wonder, is he actually all right? There was a part yesterday where a long ball came over and he sort of jogged backwards, and then he just he jumped and misjudged it completely and just flew over his head and bounced and always played Chris Martin through a goal. And he did that in what game was it? It was against what he did against Crewe. He did it against
Wolverhampton. Yeah, Wolverhampton.
Yeah. Did it against Wolves and started to wonder is he genuinely all right? He's clearly a decent defender, but I don't know. It's just a bit confusing, isn't it? I've seen him before. Saw him at Luton. He was class. Has something happened?
No, I don't know.
What's that? What are those eyes for, Adam? Go on.
I don't think we've seen. I think Sonny Bradley, for me, always looks way too nervous on the pitch. Even when it was Crewe away and he started, any time that ball came, even when it was total domination and Crewe was sat back in their own half in that first half, anytime the ball was at his feet, he reminds me of, we've had many defenders who are nervous with the ball at the feet, who aren't ball-playing defenders. That's perfectly fine if they do the other bit right, which is stopping goals and defending. But Sonny Bradley doesn't seem to be doing that at the minute. Whenever he's been played in full matches from the start. I think coming on at the end, he solidifies it up. Yesterday we saw it was mainly just get it away from the goal mouth at any time. And he did that, but I think he just doesn't look comfortable. And then it's difficult to say because even when he has started, I don't think he's shown anything to warrant another start straight after that. And then it just ends up in the same cycle of he'll get a couple of games off the bench for the last 10 minutes, and then he'll get a start in the cup, say in the Bristol Street Motors Cup, what it's called now, and then we'll have another poor game, and he'll be back to playing on the bench, coming off the bench. He just doesn't look comfortable. I'm not sure what that is, whether he hasn't settled or not. But yesterday, I don't think we saw anything that would warrant a start or more minutes, because every time the ball came to him, he tried to hoof it down the other end of the pitch, and he seemed to skew it 10 yards away from him out for a throw-in. So, I don't know. Yeah, we all know I'm not Sonny Bradley's biggest fan. I think after the Crew game, when all he did was just shout at the referee and then get out-muscled for their second goal, I didn't really understand that. Yeah, I think Sonny Bradley is a player that, I don't think he's going to be getting any first-team starts anytime soon. I think it'll be coming off the bench for him until maybe a player gets injured and he needs to slot back in. But yeah, he just doesn't look comfortable on the ball at all, which is, we don't play out from the back, but yeah, anytime the ball's near him, he just doesn't look comfortable at all, even when defending. So yeah, I'm still waiting for him to have that game, which proves me wrong. And hopefully he does prove me wrong. I would like him to prove me wrong. I just want to say that. I'm not just sat here saying, I don't like him. But yeah, I want him to prove me wrong, but yeah, I'm not seeing that yet.
No, I'm the same. Like, again, marquee signing. He wanted to succeed. We've said it loads on the pod. We want him to succeed, but he's just not showing it, is he? Yeah, I'm not going to try and psychoanalyze him. But yeah, that nervousness, that sort of, maybe he works himself up a little bit too much. Maybe, I mean, there's times when he made blocks and he was running off celebrating, like making the block, which is great, but he's doing it like 5 minutes in against Crew.
He's an experienced defender too. So I'm not really sure why. I mean, he puzzles me. He puzzles me as a centre-back, an experienced centre-back as well at this level.
Yeah.
He killed himself when he did that interview when he first signed, saying that I don't want to stay down in League One. And
he'll be in League Two soon, the way he's playing. And
I was like, I said, you've just gave yourself the dreaded kiss of death.
That
first game at home, I think that it has taken a proper mental blow on him. Bless him.
Yeah, let's hope he can turn it around. Yeah, let's hope he can turn it around. Hopefully we're here at the end of the season. We'll say, Sonny Bradley, wow, what a player. He buries a header and gets his 30th consecutive clean sheet to send us up. So yeah, we can only hope. We can only hope. Now, we spoke about it so long, I forgot what I was going to go on to next. But just looking at some of the comments, I mean, Jim Johnson says he'd take Chris Martin if he was 30, but not 35. Godfather says Wilson left wing back, Ward right wing back, potentially. That could definitely potentially work. Craig Forsyth will be crying himself to sleep if that is true. And yes, someone should tell Collins that he should stay within the width of the 6-yard box. I think he gets told that enough. Erin Cashin came out and said it, didn't he? That Warren says it all the time, but he doesn't seem to care. But Vic, I mean, last thing on Bristol Rovers, I was actually really impressed by them. I think they looked a decent side. I'm surprised they are where they are in the league. They played like a team that were higher than that. They were miles better than Barnsley, and miles better than a lot of other teams who played this season. It's weird, isn't it? Because sometimes we play games against these sort of teams and it doesn't go our way. We've played badly. We've got 3 points. Is that the sign of a good team, or did we get away with it?
Probably a bit of both, I think. For me, at the moment, it's a results business, so I couldn't care less if we were absolutely rubbish for 89 minutes. If we go and get a 90th minute winner and we get 3 points, that's all that matters. The end goal is we need to get out of this league by hook or by crook, even if it means playing rubbish football for 9 months. But if it gets us to like the 90 points, 100 points, and we get promoted, no one's going to care about how we play.
That's ambitious, that, mate.
Yeah, obviously it's not going to happen, but it's I got to say, realistically, the last few seasons it's taken 90 points out of this league automatically. So if that's what we're aiming for, we've got. I'm not bothered if we play rubbish or not, but like the Bristol Rovers were a decent side. I think if they get a good manager in, because I think the one they got at the minute is on an interim basis. Yeah. They'll be up there. I think they'll be challenging for the top 6. But Yeah, it's a bit of both. I think we've got good players to be a good side, but I think luck was on our side yesterday as well. If Mendez-Lang was off form, if a couple of other players were off form, Bristol Rovers could have walked away with 3 points yesterday. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I've just seen that as well, Adam. We've got a comment. We've got a comment from the Godfather that says, "What shop did Adam buy that slightly hairy top lip from? Looks very nice." I wouldn't say that.
I've had it all weekend. My own comments. Now, you wait. It'll look amazing in a few weeks.
Years. No, it's good. And there's plenty to be positive about apart from Adam's moustache. You know, we're so close to the top 2 now. When you look at, you know, people thought Portsmouth would run away with it. We're 6 points away from them, which, considering we thought we're pretty rubbish for most of the season, is staggering, to be honest. I didn't realize we were that close. So yeah, maybe we're all clowns. Maybe we need to have more perspective. Maybe it's a worn masterstroke, but
what do we know?
Wait and
what
see.
do we know?
What do we know? Not a lot, is what I've learned.
No,
because we get our predictions wrong almost every week. So
Yep.
we don't know anything. Right, let's do a quick walkthrough on Port Vale. Adam's going to be recording a preview on that in about an hour's time. That'll be out on Monday morning, if you want to catch that, or on YouTube in the evening. Port Vale, last season, best game of the season. We've talked about that at length. What a moment, Mendez-Lang's last-minute winner after we went 1-0 down. It's going to be a tough one, isn't it, Adam? They've moved the away end, which is a bit weird. It's a difficult place to go. It's a really weird team, Port Vale. It's not a place, is it? You can't go and visit Port Vale. I mean, how do you think it's going to go, and what's your score prediction?
I think like every game we've had this season, it's going to be tough and one that's going to be scrappy. I think we saw that last season. Obviously, you know, they're not in the best form. They had a really good start to the season. They've kind of sort of dropped like a stone down the division into a position that they want to get higher from. My thoughts ahead of it, I think it's going to be scrappy. I think we'll see the same style of football that we did, and it worked last season. Scored from 2 crosses, so hopefully more of that. That would be nice. In terms of a score prediction, I could see it being a 2-1 win, but if I say it, then we'll probably lose. So I'm going to go with a 3-2 victory, but it will most definitely be a 2-1 win.
I like
the 3-2 victory is the new 2-1 victory.
That did just make me laugh then when you said they had a really strong start to the season, because look at the results. They genuinely did, but they lost their first game 7-0.
7-0.
Which is funny. And if you've got score predictions, please leave them in the comments on YouTube as well, and we'll read them out. Cal, score prediction, goal scorers. What are you thinking?
I think this is going to be an ugly game. Tuesday night in Stoke. Who wants to go there?
Vic, apparently.
Yeah. All the best boys. Wrap up warm. I'm going to go 1-0 win, and I'll go Mendez-Lang. Keep it going. Keep up the hype train.
I like it. Vic?
Yeah, it's going to be one of them cagey sort of games. The pitch is going to be awful. We're going to be awful. They're going to be awful. But we're going to get some sort of scrappy tapping goal. I'm going to go for a Tyrese Forner. Let's go for a Tyrese. He deserved a goal yesterday, so we'll say he'll score. I don't think either team will play well, but I think we'll just have the edge and we'll nick a 1-0 win.
Let's hope you're right. Adam, you never said your goal scorers, actually. I've just thought. Who are you thinking?
On
the spot now.
Mendez-Lang brace to continue his good form, and Kane Wilson's deserved goal is soon to come. It'll come on Tuesday night. The winner.
I hope you're right. Jim Johnson says Port Vale a 2-0 victory. Mendez-Lang and John Jules. Don't worry, Adam. I've seen the comment, mate. I'm getting to it. We've got Tortured Pickles that I can't take seriously because of the name. But it depends on which derby shows up, which is ridiculous to even try and guess. Great point, but we're just going to pretend it's the good one. And the Godfather has another lovely comment about Adam's wonderful facial hair. Hopefully in 10 years, Adam's facial hair can be on the elite level like Vic. Vic, to be fair, yours is unbelievable. So yeah, I can't even argue with that.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that at all. And my score prediction, I reckon it'll be a horrible 2-1 win. Yeah, going back to the classic. I think it'll be a 2-1 win. I think we'll go 1-0 down early on, and then we'll score 2 late goals. I reckon Collins will score a penalty because that's all he can do. And then I don't know. Yeah, Kane Wilson. Let's manifest that. Weird thing with the game on Saturday. Just before they took that free kick, I turned to my parents and went, I really weirdly feel like Chris Martin's going to score. And then about 10 seconds later, he scored. So we've got to use that manifestation on Kane Wilson and make sure that he gets off the mark, because I think he definitely deserves it. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. It's another amazing episode of Rams Talk Podcast. I'm sure you've all enjoyed it a lot. If you did enjoy, please give us a rating. We're 5-star on Apple Pods now, which is mad. 4.9 star on Spotify, though. So please, for the love of God, vote as 5-star, because that 0.1 star hurts. Only if you enjoyed it, of course. If you didn't enjoy it, please don't rate us.
Nope.
You can catch all our stuff on YouTube. You can catch it all on Spotify, Apple Pod, basically anywhere where you can listen or watch. I'm trying not to read the comments at the minute because it's carnage. All about Adam's facial hair. But yeah, if you did enjoy, please let us know and get involved on Twitter at RamsTalkPod. We put loads of stuff on there, loads of talking points and clips and things. So if you want to get your opinion heard, let us know on there as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Another 3 points for Derby. Hopefully we get another 3 at Port Vale, and a nice weekend off next week. So it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Thank you very much, everyone, from Rams Talk and Adam and his moustache. Have a great week.